2001 through 2006 Mini Cooper S power steering reservoir to pump feed hose replacement. I'm Brian Eslick from How to Automotive. I'm going to walk you through the steps of replacing that hose. To get started, you're going to need to get the vehicle up in the air. If you're doing this at home, use floor jacks and jack stands and get the front of the vehicle up as high as you can get it. You're going to need a catch can bucket to catch some of the power steering fluid that's going to drain out once we start removing some of the hoses. So one of the first things I'm going to do is come into the engine bay here and remove the power steering reservoir cap. And what I'm going to do is suck out as much of the power steering fluid as I can. I have a little fluid extractor here I'm using at the shop, but if you don't have something like this, you can use a turkey baster and suck as much of the power steering fluid out of the reservoir as you possibly can. So this is the part I'm going to be installing. It's the feed hose, and this is the part numbers. We're also going to need a couple hose clamps like this. So I'll link up the hose, the clamps, and the power steering fluid in the description of the video. That way if you need to pick up any of this, you can find it there. So after removing as much of the power steering fluid as you possibly can from the reservoir, the next step is going to be to cut the hose clamp off right here. I'm just going to use a pair of side cutters on this particular hose and cut the clamp. A lot of twisting action will break the clamp and you can take the clamp off. So instead of cutting the clamp, I did a lot of twisting of the clamp, and that broke the clamp, and then I was able to pull it off like this. Now I'm going to take a razor blade and make an incision on the side of the hose to help get it off. This hose can adhere itself to the reservoir, and it can be tough to get off. Once I make an incision on the side of the hose, I'll use a flat blade screwdriver and kind of flare the hose open and push the hose off. You're going to want to have your bucket underneath the car. A couple ounces of power steering fluid will spill out. Now we're going to go from underneath the vehicle here. So looking from underneath, you'll see the oil pan, the drain plug, and just behind that is the fan. The fan is the fan for the power steering pump. And then right here is the feed hose that we're going to change. So the next step is we're going to cut the hose clamp off the feed hose here. So you can cut the hose clamp off with side cutters if you can get to it, but what I'm going to use is a die grinder with a burr bit and grind the hose clamp in half. It only takes a few seconds with the die grinder. You do have to be careful while doing this. You can grind too far and grind into the pump itself, and you don't want that to happen. Just enough to separate the clamp. Once you get the hose clamp cut like this, you can take a razor blade, make an incision on the side of the hose, and then flare the hose open with a flat blade screwdriver like we did the top, and push the hose upwards and off. And when you do this, a couple ounces of the fluid will run out, so you want to be careful not to be standing right underneath it, or else you will take a bath in the fluid. So now that the old hose is removed, we're going to take our new replacement hose here. We're going to slip the hose clamp on like this. Then we're going to feed it up into position. So we'll feed it back up the exact same way that it came out. And then what you do is you push it up higher than the pump, and then install it onto the port and pull downwards. And then you can install the clamp and tighten it up. Then after that, I like to use a little brake clean and clean up as much of the mess as I possibly can. If you have access to a pressure washer, that would be a great way to clean this all up. It can make it quite a bit of a mess. So now back up top in the engine bay here, I'm going to slide the hose clamp over the hose. Then you'll have to push the hose down towards the pump, slightly bending the hose to get it to fit onto the port on the reservoir. So once you get the hose on, I came from the side here and got access to the clamp. So I used a flat blade screwdriver and then tightened up the hose clamp. Now we're ready to fill the power steering reservoir up. It takes a special fluid. I will link this fluid up in the description of the video. That way if you need to pick it up, you can find it there. Don't just put any type of fluid in the car. This fluid is specific for the Mini. So we're going to fill it up till the reservoir is full to the top here, maybe a 1/4 inch below the top. And then I start the vehicle, and as I start the vehicle, I turn the wheels left to right, and the fluid will drop. Then I'll measure the fluid level with the dipstick on the cap, and if need be, I'll fill up or remove some of the fluid. I will put links for the fluid and the hose clamps in the description of the video, and that will complete the process of changing the power steering feed hose on a 2001 through 2006 Mini Cooper S. I'm Brian Eslick from How to Automotive. I'd like to thank you guys for watching my videos. Encourage you to subscribe. Invite you to head over to the howtoautomotive.com website for more valuable videos like this. And I'd like to thank you again for watching.